So that laid down really good, real nice and smooth. It is starting to flash right now. What flash is, it's, you can see a couple little pieces of trash. It's like, man, that's nothing. But the rest of it, it covered it pretty good. So like that little bit that you can see through it, I ain't worried about that at all. The base coat now will cover it with, 2 coats instead of having to do like 4. Yeah, and even with this, it's starting to flash means that it's a little bit wet still, but in some areas, see it's dry. That means that it's flashed off, like all the solvents have pulled out of it. So the areas where it's still a little bit shiny, it's still drying. So you want to let this dry about 10-15 minutes, and then you have basically between about like a half hour to 4 hours to put the base coat on for your chemical adhesion. If you want a mechanical adhesion, then you're gonna need to let it sit overnight and then sand it down to get that actual bite to it, to get the mechanical adhesion. But we're gonna go ahead and just, let this flash, and we got plenty of time. No reason to hurry, so we got plenty of time. I'll clean the gun and get set up ready for the base coat. The Snowhite Pearl. And I may even, like, those little pieces of trash, not even worried about them. If you want to, you can actually, once this is dried, give it like half hour. And before you put the base coat on, you can actually sand, just lightly sand it down with just like some 600, 800 grit, just to knock that dust nib off, just the very top of it. But this, I'm not even worried about it. Like, you won't even be able to see it. So yeah, looks good. I like it. And I like that gun, that Eastwood, the CC 500. I'm not used to the trigger pull yet because I've been using the DeVilbiss starting line guns, these here. I've been using those for so long. They have such a long trigger pull. So when I go to the end of something and release, I release a little bit and then pull again. So with these, it doesn't matter. This one, it seemed to like start and stop. So I need to fix my technique on that. So, but man, it laid down really smooth, real nice. I liked it a lot. So we'll clean that, and then we will get going on the Snowhite Pearl. And that's just a 2-to-1 mixture. So 2 parts of this to 1 part reducer, real easy. And then once we'll do maybe like 2 coats, that should cover it really easy. And then once that's done and flashed and dried enough, then we'll do the inner coat clear, the SG100. That's again just base coat, so it's a 2-to-1, 2 parts of this to 1 part reducer, and we'll put like 2 or 3 coats of that down on top of the pearl. And then that'll lock down that pearl, that base coat, because then we can come back later and sand on top of the SG100 to do our artwork and stuff. You don't want to sand on metallics and pearls like the Snowhite Pearl, because then you get little scratches in there, and then when you start putting stuff on top of it, it just won't look good. So yeah, so we'll do that. Everything's looking pretty good. So it's all flashed, which means that it's dry enough to either put another coat on or to add, whatever, like your base coat or something like that to it. But it's nice, and the sheen on it, like I said, even now, I mean, you can't even barely see any of that trash. You can barely feel it. And ideally you want it all one color. Like, I would probably do like 1 more coat on there to hide that, but on camera it actually looks a lot worse. Like, you can barely see it in with your eyeballs. So I know that pearl, that white pearl, is just gonna cover it like really, really easy. So first coat will probably cover it, but then we'll put another second coat just to make sure it's all good. But yeah, I mean, that went on really, really nice.